Hey, we're back for another exciting week of local television information, local television entertainment, and, well, just local TV. Hi, how are you? It's Monday, the 20th day of January 2019. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You know what that means. Governmental offices are closed. There's no school today, but there is some events going on. Specifically, Wenatchee Valley College has some things going on to honor the memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We'll talk about that when we get to news. So for a lot of folks, it's sleeping in time. Even some people are taking an actual day off today, even if they don't work for various governmental institutions. But for those folks and the school kids out there, it's a 3-day weekend and a pretty quiet one at that to wrap it up on this Monday. Not a lot out there weather-wise to talk about. A little bit of snow possible on Tuesday and Tuesday night. All in all, though, the upcoming weather pattern for this week looks very mild, and precipitation-wise, a little bit of snow, but probably more rain than anything else. We're going to have some mild temperatures. Forecast details are coming up. I'll also take you up to the major mountain passes. Things are looking pretty good right now up in the Cascades. We'll have your latest news headlines, lots of sports to get to, including highlights of Wenatchee's dominating victory over Moses Lake, again that we televised Saturday night here on the NCESD Live channel. Lots of sports to talk about. We know who's going to Super Bowl 54 in Miami in a couple of weeks. It'll be the Niners and the Chiefs. We'll talk about that with sports. Plus, we have, of course, the obscure holidays, some birthdays. Today in history, a lot of it there. Mike McNally's got an opinion you're going to want to chime in on and listen to. Mike's not afraid to share his opinions here. And the interview segment in the back half of the hour, Dr. Michelle Price came by and visited me last week. She, of course, is the superintendent of the North Central Educational Services District. They have remodeled their campus out there in Old Station, and tomorrow afternoon they're going to have an open house tomorrow from Tuesday from 4 to 7. You can check out their new digs. We'll talk all good things about the NCESD with Michelle Price in the back half of the hour. A couple minutes after the hour, let's take you around the valley. Let's see what we got. Megan is back pushing the button. She had a 3-day weekend, but she's back. Telling me what to do. She does that well. That's the cross camera, of course. Tilted up and zoomed in just a little bit. Everything looks maroonish there, doesn't it? That's an interesting color scheme that we have here. It is overcast, a little misty outside of our studios. We're at 30 degrees. Again, not a lot going on today. It's going to be pretty quiet. Things are going to get a little more active on Tuesday and Wednesday, but all in all, compared to what we had last week and over the weekend, it's going to be a pretty quiet week from Mother Nature's perspective. Beautiful view there from our cross camera as we say good morning to Wenatchee, East Wenatchee, Sunny Slope, Badger Mountain, Birch Mountain, and everybody else who's joining us, including Charity out there in Kashmir. Good morning, Charity. Camera 2, where are we off to, Megan? Oh, that's a gorgeous view. Look at that. That is, I have no idea. That's the Waterville camera. Okay. Hi, Waterville. How are you? I'll be paying you a visit tomorrow morning, and I'll pop up and visit our friends at the Waterville School District. They have a levy on the ballot coming up on February 11th. They invited me to come on up and talk about it. I will be up there in Waterville, one of my favorite hamlets in this area. I'll be visiting you tomorrow. Looking forward to the drive up Pine Canyon. It is gorgeous up there in Waterville. I know why people like to live there. It's a good place to live, even though you can't see it. Camera number 3. We are off to Rondo Rock, looking down the Columbia River at Lake Antioch. You can see Turtle Rock there. It's called Turtle Rock, of course, because it's a giant rock. Rocky Reach Dam way off in the distance, and way off in the distance, Mission Ridge and the Wenatchee Valley. They had night skiing at Mission Ridge on Friday and Saturday. I couldn't help but notice that. The view of my house looks right up towards the Mission Ridge Basin, and you can see the lights for night skiing over the weekend, which I have never done, by the way. Camera number 4. It's a slow dissolve too. Let me guess, is that Monitor? That's the Monitor camera. Hey, I got almost all of them right. I didn't get Waterville correctly. Good morning, Monitor, as we look out towards Kashmir and the foothills of the Cascades. Leavenworth is a much happier community today now that Stevens Pass reopened on Thursday afternoon. I can't remember, and I was born and raised here, and I've spent most of my adult life here. I can't remember the last time Stevens Pass was closed for that long. It was closed from Sunday afternoon of last week all the way till Thursday afternoon. That put a real crimp on tourism in the Leavenworth area, but they're back open. Things are looking good. We'll get to that pass report in just a couple minutes, but first, 5 minutes after the hour, let's take a look at your forecast from the National Weather Service. A couple of slides to show you. One of them is basically a rundown of what we're expecting this week, and that's what we're expecting this week. In the lowlands, a mixture of rain and snow. Mild temperatures will be in the lower 40s it looks like, by the time we get to the mid part of next week. There's a parade of storms up there, but most of them are actually going to be packing some weight. We'll be in the 40s, mid-40s on Thursday and Friday, I kid you not. Mountains, a little bit of light snow, occasional winter driving conditions here in the Wenatchee Valley. We are expecting a little bit of light snow a little bit later on this week. Those details are coming up. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the snow that we're expecting on Tuesday and Tuesday night. Not a lot, really. Not a lot at all. Again, nothing really happening today. That's your snow totals for Tuesday and Tuesday night. Cascade Passes are going to get quite a bit of snow. Other places, a little bit of light snow. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, maybe an inch, and it's certainly not going to last very long. In fact, by the end of this week, we could be completely devoid of snow here in the Wenatchee Valley because we're going to have some very mild temperatures. From Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they give your home a hug from the National Weather Service. Let's take a look-see at what we got. Again, today, just not a lot happening. Dry, some patchy morning fog. Sun's taking the day off for this holiday. We'll top off at about 36. This is going to be overcast. Very typical mid to late January weather here for the Wenatchee Valley. Snow, a little bit of light snow in the wee small hours tonight. You could wake up to a little bit of light snow come tomorrow morning, a half inch maybe. And then on Tuesday, that snow will switch over to rain by the middle of the afternoon. The snow level is going to start out tomorrow morning at about 1,200 feet. It's going to go above 2,000 feet by the time we get to the afternoon. So snow in the upper elevations, rain in the lower, rain down here. Again, less than an inch probably snow-wise between the wee small hours of tonight into Tuesday morning. By Tuesday night, snow level remains at about 1,700 feet, but the system passes out of here. We'll dip down to about 28 degrees. Wednesday, look at Wednesday's high, 39. Here comes some snow melt. It'll be right around freezing, about 32 on Wednesday night. Slight chance of some light snow mixed with rain possible. Thursday, 42. Friday, 45. Saturday, 41, 43, right around there. So yeah, it's going to be very mild. Again, a little bit of light snow possible early tomorrow morning. Whatever snow we get is going to be done by 8, 8:15, 8:30 or so Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, we'll be dealing with some rain. Very mild temperatures once we get to the middle part of the week and into the weekend. So again, we are expecting some significant snow melt coming up for most of this week. And my guess is by the time we get up Friday, there's not going to be any snow, at least sitting on roadways and on lawns here in the Wenatchee Valley. Of course, there'll still be some piles of snow in parking lots and things like that, but get ready for some significant snow melt. But again, still some snow in the upper elevations. All right, to the mountain passes we go. Things pretty quiet, which is something we haven't been able to say here for the last week or so. That's a live shot of Snoqualmie Pass. No advisories, no restrictions, nothing coming down out of the sky. The roadway is bare and wet. You are good to go on I-90. Stevens Pass doesn't look too bad. They have a traction tire advisory. Again, it's not snowing. It's clear skies. It's pretty mild at the temperature at the summit of Stevens Pass. It's 30 degrees up there. They still have a traction tire advisory. The worst part, of course, is right at the summit, the 4 and 5 miles on either side of the summit of Stevens Pass, which is just a little over 4,000 feet. That's going to be your roughest part. Then you're good to go after that. And Blue Pass, live shot there. No advisories, no restrictions. The roadway is bare and wet, and nothing really happening today. No snow at all in the major mountain passes, no rain at all. Very quiet. Snow will continue to melt. The plows will continue to get the job done. A little bit of light snow expected in the major mountain passes tonight. Tuesday, we are expecting, of course, a little bit of rain down here. They're expecting snow in the major mountain passes, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow on Tuesday. Tuesday night, really the most amount of snow they're expecting for most of this week, about 3 to 7 inches of snow Tuesday night. For the mountain passes, 3 to 5 inches of snow on Wednesday. Wednesday night, maybe 5 or 6 inches of snow, a couple of inches of snow on Thursday. So they are expecting some snow in the major mountain passes. No big-time snow event in the Cascades. It's going to snow fairly steadily, but fairly slowly. Plows will be able to get the job done. Again, no advisories or restrictions on Blue or I-90. Traction tires are advised on this Monday morning on Stevens Pass. 10 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break and come back with your Monday morning headlines. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live this morning from Studio 10 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live Channel.
My name is Lacey Haggerty, and I am a nurse midwife with Columbia Valley Community Health. I love all aspects of my job because it is a profession that's very committed to empowering women to make decisions in their health care that feel best for them. It's incredibly valuable to me as a midwife that I get to take care of women throughout their whole lifespan. I hope to see you at a future visit because I know you'll love having midwifery care.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, independent agent and owner at Springwater Insurance Group here in North Central Washington. And one of the things we enjoy doing is teaching people how to find the right Part D drug plan. And you know, if you went into a shoe shop and they just sat you down and handed you a pair of shoes, that'd be confusing. You'd want them to measure. Well, we take a measurement at Springwater Insurance Group. We ask you 4 questions. What's the name, the dose, the frequency, and the pharmacy for your medications? This allows us to measure and get the right fit for 2020. Give us a call at Springwater Insurance Group for the right fit for your drug plan at 888-2600.
And we are back at 11 minutes after the hour. A little cloudy, a little misty, and 30 degrees. Clouds all day. Highs will be in the mid-30s, about 36 or 37 here in the Wenatchee Valley. Light snow expected early on Tuesday morning. It switches over to rain, and then very mild temperatures for the rest of this week. Here's us making headlines. A 55-year-old Chelan resident charged 2 years ago with child molestation will serve 7 years in prison and a lifetime of probation. Magdaleno Rodriguez Salas pleaded guilty to first and second degree child molestation in Chelan County Superior Court after his 2018 arrest for sexually abusing an 8-year-old child. On Thursday, Judge Leslie Allen sentenced him, and once he's released from prison, Rodriguez must register as a sex offender and remain on Department of Corrections supervision for the rest of his life. A Chelan defendant accused of stealing valuable equipment from a parked car and then demanding money for the return of that equipment pleaded guilty last week to extortion and drug charges. Wenatchee police arrested 45-year-old Joseph Wiley Meadows almost a year ago after he contacted a car prowl victim and asked for $800 to return about $6,000 worth of camera and computer gear. Well, a detective posed as the victim in a phone call. Police arrested Meadows as he drove to an arranged meeting. He pled guilty on Wednesday to second-degree extortion and possession of methamphetamine. He faces jail time and then work release time. He'll be sentenced on February 12th. Well, just in time for winter, the minimum loads a roof must be able to hold are changing in Chelan County. The Community Development Department set out new construction guidelines last week for the amount of weight a roof must be able to hold. Now, the weights vary from 40 pounds per square foot in the lower Wenatchee Valley to 120 pounds per square foot in the Lake Wenatchee area. Now, in past years, the minimum roof loads have been 45 pounds. Now, the rules only apply to unincorporated areas of Chelan County. Cities are allowed to set their own load limits. Well, Douglas County PUD General Manager Gary Ivory sat down with our own special news correspondent Steve Hare last week for an in-focus discussion about the district's rate restructuring plan. PUD commissioners are set to take action on a proposed rate increase that would affect the county's cryptocurrency mining and data processing industry. Now, Ivory says the district has seen a big increase in demand for those services since Chelan and Grant County adopted their rates for Bitcoin mining.
And our long-term planning shows that by 2029, if we continue to grow at the pace that we're growing at today, we would be running out of power from that project.
Growth meaning population, or what do you mean?
Data center and cryptocurrency growth specifically, yeah. Our planning showed that if we added 50 megawatts, we would be deficient 6 months out of the year. So we would have to go out to the power markets and purchase power. And that's very concerning for a utility that looks forward into the future a long ways. And so we had to grapple with that issue. You know, running out of resource is not a good thing. People like to flip their light switches on, and they like the power to come on when they do that. And so it's very important for us to have the resource available to customers long term. But in the last typically, our utility has seen growth rates between 1.4 1.5%. In 2017, that clicked up to 10%. 2018, we had another 10% bump. And then in 2019, we saw 20% growth. And all that growth is really attributed to the cryptocurrency and data mining industries that have developed in our area.
Ivory also says the Douglas County PUD faces costly upgrades and repairs at their Wells Dam project, which also necessitates the need for the rate adjustments. But the proposal has received significant pushback from business leaders who claim the rate hikes are being pushed through without adequate public review. Ivory claims the PUD started public discussions about the changes in May of last year. And as we started at this, we mentioned at the start of the show, Washington and the rest of the nation honors the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That means, of course, schools will be closed along with mail service. City, county, state, federal offices will not be open today. The Wenatchee Valley College will be closed, but its Diversity and Inclusion Department will host an MLK Day of Service. It's from 10 a.m. today to 3 o'clock today, and that does include a food drive at Grocery Outlet. Remember the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King on this day. It is 16 minutes after the hour. The news crew will be back to gather news, disseminating news, and at 5 o'clock tonight and 6 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock we'll have a newscast for you with a preview. Here's the anchors, my friend Grant Olson.
Good Monday morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, I'll have your warm and wet North Central Washington weather forecast for the work week ahead, and Eric Granstrom will have results from all the local sports from this past weekend. That, all the day's news and more coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Yeah, we do hope to see you then. It is appointment television, and if you can't watch it at 5, 6, or 10, you can always watch it on demand right about 5 o'clock. We'll have it up and running on our website at ncwlife.com, ncwlife.com. Our website is one of the tools you can use to get a hold of us. We have a Contact Us icon there. Click on it, a form pops up, fill it out, and send it down the line. We'll get it. You can also email us directly, news at ncwlife.com. And if you're a Facebooker, go to our Facebook page, give us a big old thumbs up, and drop us a note via Facebook Messenger. It's 17 minutes after the hour. We'll come back with sports, the obscure holiday, today in history. We got some celebrity birthdays. Everybody's entitled to Mike McNally's opinion, and my conversation with Dr. Michelle Price, the superintendent of the North Central Educational Services District. Busy Monday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The Cottage Inn has been a Wenatchee Valley landmark since 1940, making it one of the longest-running locally owned restaurants around. And it's better than ever. Steak, seafood, and their famous homemade desserts for dinner, wonderful lunch items, and breakfast on Sundays, all made from scratch and at an affordable price. It's no wonder the Cottage Inn has been so popular for over 75 years. Enjoy a fabulous meal today at the Cottage Inn on Easy Street in Old Station.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
18 minutes after the hour, let's talk sports. We're talking about the 49ers and the Chiefs. They will face off each other in a couple of Sundays in Super Bowl LIV. That's 54 to you and me in Miami. San Francisco running back Raheem Mostert rushed for 220 yards, had 4 touchdowns. Niners beat Green Bay 37-20. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 8 passes, just 8 passes for 77 yards, but he didn't need to throw a lot. San Francisco went from 4-12 last year to 15-3 this year. And they're off to the Super Bowl. As far as Kansas City, they erased an early 10-0 deficit, beat Tennessee at Arrowhead Stadium 35-24. Patrick Mahomes throwing for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns, ran for 53 yards, including a 23-yard touchdown. The Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Well, the Wenatchee Panthers bounced back from a Friday night loss with a lopsided 82-46 victory over the Moses Lake Chiefs. On Saturday, Camden Lloydhammer, who's just a sophomore, led 5 players in double figures. He had 19 points. As Wenatchee improved to 3-3 in Big 9 play, Eric Granstrom was there with the call. Here are your highlights.
Here's a long 3-pointer for long. It's short. Rebound picked up by Lloydhammer. Camden, reverse layup, good. First points of the ball game go to the Panthers. They'll give it up to Blauman on the baseline. A wraparound pass, easy for Camden Lloydhammer. He's fouled, count the bucket. Double Lloydhammer screen, he'll lay it up and off the window, a little bit too strong. Rebound offensive by Camden Lloydhammer, put back good. To Blauman. Blauman, no look to Camden Lloydhammer, layup good.
Talk about what was so successful for you guys tonight.
I felt like we moved the ball good and got
open shots.
They had a hard time shooting from outside tonight, but you guys, the defense, I thought was really tough for them. They just couldn't figure out an answer for you guys, do you think?
Yeah, I thought we played really good help defense, off-ball defense, close out on shooters. 7 turnovers for Moses Lake in that first quarter that allowed you to get out to a 20-5 lead. I thought that was a huge part of this game where your defense and your pressure, they just didn't figure out a way to handle it.
Yeah, no, we came out ready to go, and you know, really, last night we started the game really well. I was really happy the way we came out and started. You know, we upped our intensity at practice this last week, and so I think it showed at the beginning of the games last night and tonight. We were a little bit more ready to hit the floor and compete. So.
Also on Saturday in boys basketball, a lot of scores to pass along to, even though there were some cancellations. Waterville-Mansfield topped Soap Lake 46-27. As you can see, the rest of the Saturday schedule was either postponed or outright canceled due to snow and slick roads. The Moses Lake girls left little doubt it would earn its Big 9 leading 11th win of the season Saturday. Took an early lead, ran away from it, and they defeated the Wenatchee Panthers on Saturday night 64-20. Waterville-Mansfield improves to 11-1 Saturday. They've won 7 in a row. They beat Soap Lake 63-24. As you see, the rest of the girls' schedule also erased due to inclement weather. Let's go back to Les Schwab Prep boys basketball results from Friday night. Eastmont topped Sunnyside 74-66. West Valley defeated Wenatchee, as you see there. In CWAC play, Ephrata beat Wapato. Grandview quieted Quincy. Cashmere beat Chelan and Caribou Trail League play. And in B League play, Manson stopped Soap Lake, and Liberty Bell whipped up on Waterville-Mansfield. That was the boys on Friday. Girls on Friday. To the Les Schwab Prep scoreboard we go. Sunnyside stopped Eastmont. West Valley defended their home court with a victory over Wenatchee. Wapato topped Ephrata. Quincy won their 3rd league game in 5 years with a big upset at Grandview. They beat them 42-41. Way to go, Lady Jackrabbits. In Caribou Trail League play, Omak crushed Cascade. Cashmere no trouble with Chelan. They won 69-14. And on Friday, Manson beat Soap Lake, and Waterville-Mansfield topped Liberty Bell. To the Les Schwab men's college basketball schedule and results on Saturday. Number 1 Gonzaga beat BYU in the Kennel 92-69. Oregon sinking a 3-pointer with 3 seconds left in overtime to beat Washington 64-61. Washington State kept rolling in Pullman. An 89-76 win over Oregon State. Eastern traveled to Montana State, won there. Also a men's college basketball Saturday. Alaska topped Central Washington, and Spokane knocked off Wenatchee Valley College in overtime 74-69. To the ladies on Saturday, we have number 18 Arizona State beating Washington. As you see there, number 21 Arizona State topped Washington State 74-67. Number 16 Gonzaga earned a road win. They beat San Francisco Saturday 69-46. Montana State edged Eastern Washington. Simon Fraser over Central Washington. Wenatchee Valley College protected their home floor with a big victory over Spokane. And finally on Sunday, the Arizona Schools beat the Washington Schools. The Sun Devils over the Cougars, and the Wildcats over the Huskies. The Wenatchee Panthers swim and dive team topped the podium. Lots of places on Saturday during a meet down at Whitman College in Walla Walla. Wenatchee winning the team competition easily, I might add. Richland second with 365 points. Eastmont came in 6th with 98 points. For the 7th time this season, the Wenatchee Wild went 1-1 over the weekend. Cowichan Valley blanked the Wild 4-0. 2 goals by right winger Primo Self. Wenatchee was outshot in the game 36-27. The Capitals goalie Zach Borgerell was perfect. He stopped 27-27 on goal. But it was another story on Saturday night. A huge crowd at the Town Toyota Center Military Appreciation Night. The Wild off to a good start. Brett Chorsky scoring the first of his 2 goals in the first period. Wenatchee would go on for the overtime win 4-3. Nick Caffarelli scoring 2 minutes and 58 seconds into the second session. Art Jecker with the call on the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.
And then Overland drills it in, and he absorbs a huge hit by Ackle on the near wing. Over to the far boards. Eagles turn it over. Chorsky shoots and he scores! Nico Chmielewski stole it away down in the left wing corner, and he threw it out in front for Chorsky. And Chorsky with a little one-timer just punched it in low on the glove side. And the rebound played by the Eagles, gloved by Maine, but then off a body. Trickles out to center. Here's Tellier. He's in, he dangles, he shoots, and he scores. Christophe Tellier. Kim's going to end up with the puck, though, after a couple of touches. And back the other way, here come the Eagles. In, shot, and a save made, but the rebound is driven in. O'Hearn picks it up, and it gets his pocket picked by Sam Morton. He's in, he shoots, he scores! Sam Morton with an unassisted tally. Picked the pocket, and made a gorgeous little deke and just ever so gently guided it right between the legs of Classen. And the Wild have tied it up at 2 to try to start a new streak for himself. Here's Shandor on the near side. Centering feed, shot and a score. Christophe Tellier with his second of the night. Overland whips it across, penalty over, Fecto's out, and the Wild still with the man advantage. Centering feed, shot and a score! Sam Morton drove it home, a crisp pass from down low on the end wall, and Morton unloaded the one-timer. Well, it won't be a power play goal on the books, and he sends a wrister that sails wide. Back to the right point, Kim with a shot and a save made. Back up top, Bliss, shot blocked. That one goes wide, and Shandor over in the left corner can't pull the trigger in time, and this one is going to go to sudden death overtime. Now to Herzog. Herzog swings it over right side. In shot, score! Nick Caffarelli. Game winner, lights out, and celebration time as he salutes the military. With 2:02 left in the extra session, the Wild pick up the victory by a final score of 4-3.
By the way, the Wild will host the Trail Smoke Eaters this Friday and Saturday at the Town Toyota Center. The Wenatchee Wild folks will be our guests on Friday's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, and I will have tickets, lots of tickets to give away for Wenatchee Wild hockey this Friday on this very program. Let's take a look at the broadcast schedule. Sports-wise, for the rest of this week, the Wenatchee and Eastmont girls game for back on January 10th at the Town Toyota Center will be featured tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We'll have a double feature Thursday, beginning with Hockey Night at 7 as the Wild host Cowichan Valley from last Friday. Then Eric Granstrom will be Matt's side at Eastmont. The Wildcats will host Eisenhower and Big Nine Wrestling. It will air immediately following hockey on Thursday. Friday night's game will be the boys' game between Wenatchee and Eastmont from their meeting at the Town Toyota Center. That'll be at 7 o'clock on Friday. And then we'll be live Saturday at Wenatchee as the Panthers host the Davis Pirates and the girls-boys doubleheader. We'll get going at 5:30. The handsome and debonair Grant Olson with the call right here live Saturday on your home for local sports, and that's us, the NCW Live channel. And those are just some of the games that people are playing at 28 minutes after the hour. The obscure holiday is just that, the obscure holiday. We've already mentioned it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's also Blue Monday, National Butter Crunch Day, National Cheese Lovers Day. I'm not doing any of those because today is National Disc Jockeys Day, and that's how I started my professional life. Ironically enough, they don't really use the term disc jockeys anymore. Sometime in the mid to late 80s, when everything went from records to CDs and then eventually computers, what the music is stored on, the term disc jockey became outdated, so we became radio personalities. And I worked for almost every radio station that you can imagine here in the Wenatchee Valley. Many of them are still on the air. And why is January 20th National Disc Jockey Day? Because the first real big nationwide superstar disc jockey, a guy who was paid to play rock and roll records on the radio, which was my dream growing up, was Alan Freed. And Alan Freed died on this date back in 1965. Happy Disc Jockey Day to all of my disc jockey friends, now known as radio personalities. 29 minutes after the hour. Way back when they changed the day that the president was to be inaugurated. For the beginning of this country's history, all the way until 1937, the president began his new term on March 4th. That was Inauguration Day. But after the 20th Amendment passed, they moved it from March 4th to January 20th. And since that time, January 20th is Inauguration Day in this country, and we got a bunch of them. January 20th, 1937, FDR sworn in for his second term as president. He became the first president to be sworn in on January 20th instead of March 4th. It was also the first time that the vice president took his oath of office during the actual ceremonies. Before that, the vice president would take his oath of office in the Senate chamber. It doesn't do that anymore. It rained all morning during that day. They did the inauguration, and FDR said, everybody go back to work. It's raining. They didn't have a parade. That's how that happened 83 years ago. January 20th, 1941, 79 years ago today, FDR sworn in for his third term as president, and his outgoing vice president, John Nance Gardner, swore in his predecessor, Henry A. Wallace. That must have been uncomfortable. That happened on this date 79 years ago today. 75 years ago today, January 20th, 1945, FDR sworn in for his fourth term as president. It was held at the White House, on the south portico of the White House. It was a Saturday. It was World War II. Basically, all the festivities were canceled. The president took his oath of office, gave a very short speech, and basically told everybody to go back to work. Probably the most sober of the formal swearing-in ceremonies on January 20th, happened on this date in 1945. January 20th, 1949, 71 years ago today, Harry S. Truman sworn in as president after winning a full-year term. The previous November, it was the first presidential inauguration that was televised. Also, they restarted the tradition of the inaugural ball. The last inaugural ball was held in 1909 with William Howard Taft. Then they simply quit doing it. When the war was over, everybody had, bread and butter and milk and cheese and steak, and so it was like back to having a party. By the way, the day before the inauguration ceremony, President Truman signed into law a big raise. The president's salary was $25,000. It went up to $100,000 beginning on that day. That's the way you start a new term. Give yourself a big raise. January 20th, 1953, 67 years ago today, Dwight David Eisenhower inaugurated as the 34th President of the United States. He became the first president to actually begin his presidency on January 20th. January 20th, 1961, 59 years ago today, JFK inaugurated as the 35th President of the United States, the second youngest man ever to be president, the first and only Catholic. It snowed cats and dogs the night before the inauguration day. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was put in charge of cleaning the streets of Washington, D.C., and they did. They had 1,000 district employees, and about 1,700 Boy Scouts got the job done. They cleared off the streets of Pennsylvania Avenue, so they had the parade after all, after a huge snowstorm at JFK, inaugurated on this date 59 years ago today. January 20th, 1969, 51 years ago today, Richard M. Nixon sworn in as the 37th President of the United States. No comment. January 20th, 1977, 43 years ago today, Jimmy Carter inaugurated as the 39th President of the United States. This was the last inaugural ceremony that was held at the East portico of the Capitol, and exactly 40 years later, Jimmy Carter attended the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, became the first U.S. president to mark the 40th anniversary of his own inauguration. January 20th, 1981, 39 years ago, Ronald Reagan sworn in as the 40th President of the United States. 20 minutes later, of course, Iran released the 52 remaining American hostages. This was the first inauguration that was held on the west front of the Capitol, the front that faces the Washington Monument. They could fit a lot more people in there, and they didn't have to worry about building a platform. The platform already existed. January 20th, 1989, 31 years ago today, George H.W. Bush inaugurated as the 41st President of the United States of America. January 20th, 1993, 27 years ago, Bill Clinton inaugurated as the 42nd President of the United States of America. This is the 19th anniversary of the day that George W. Bush, the son of George H.W. Bush, was inaugurated the 43rd President of the United States of America. It rained cats and dogs that day, and 4 people were arrested for throwing eggs at the presidential limousine. January 20th, 2009, 11 years ago today, Barack Obama inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States, becoming the first African-American President of the United States. Of course, the oath was a bit controversial. John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States, decided to memorize the presidential oath, and it was a little confusing. They kind of stumbled through the oath. They actually retook the oath in a private ceremony at the White House the next day. And finally, 3 years ago today, January 20th, 2017, Donald John Trump inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States of America, becoming the oldest person to assume the presidency. Whew. Finally, at 35 minutes after the hour. Birthdays, Bones McCoy. He's dead, Jim. DeForest Kelley was born in the state in 1920, will forever be known as Dr. Bones McCoy on the original Star Trek. Died in 1999 at the age of 79. He was the only one of the original cast members of Star Trek who never wrote a book. All the rest of them wrote books. I mean, every one of them, except DeForest Kelley, who was essentially typecast. Had a hard time finding a job after Star Trek was canceled, but we miss Bones, born in the state in 1920. The second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, is 90 years old today. 90 years old today. His post-Apollo career didn't go very well. He went through an extremely difficult time of depression and alcoholism in the 1970s, but he bounced back and is going strong at the age of 90. Happy 90th birthday, Buzz. And the man who played Dwight Schrute in The Office, Rainn Wilson, is 54 years old today. Of course, he has Northwest connections. He was born and raised in the Northwest, went to the University of Washington, has family members who live right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Rainn Wilson is 54 years old today, and he's occasionally spotted around town. Hey, I hope you had a good time at Chelan over the weekend. They had Winterfest. They're doing it again this weekend up in Manson, which means this is a good time to take advantage of Campbell's Destination Deal. All you got to do is prove you're a local. That's it. Give Campbell's a call. Say, Campbell's, I live in North Central Washington. I'm up for a nice, quiet winter's weekend getaway at your fantabulous resort with the fine restaurants and shopping, and you can avoid the crowds in downtown Chelan this time of the year. Give Campbell's a call and get away from it all. If you're a local, you can get a room at Campbell's starting at just $95 a night. That's not a misprint. Just $95 a night is the destination deal. It's for locals only at Campbell's Resort for 119 years going strong. Going to take a break. Mike Magnotti has an opinion. I'm in a conversation with Dr. Michelle Price from the North Central Educational Services District. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Monday edition on the NCW Live channel.
The Performing Arts Center,
the mountain bike trails.
When I ride the Loop Trail, we've all been lifted by the giving generosity of our community.
I think philanthropy is everywhere.
I'm just overwhelmed with gratefulness.
There is such a legacy of giving in this community.
And that's a direct impact on my quality of life.
And we have the duty to kind of do the same thing for our future generations.
How do you know when it's time to go to Boswell's Furniture? When you know the look you love, the colors you want, but need a little design help to bring it all together. With Boswell's complimentary design service, Glenn, Buffy, and Teresa guide you until your vision becomes reality. More styles, more fabrics, and more choices of quality home furnishings fill Boswell's expansive 2-story showroom so you can see it and feel it before you buy. Come into Boswell's and explore the endless possibilities of home furnishings. Boswell's on Easy Street. It's closer than you think.
Did you hear the news? The 108 is reopened after the flood. Hey, this is Evan from the 108 in downtown Wenatchee. I want to invite you down to the Walkabout Grill and the 108 and let you experience our twist on your favorite cocktails in a cozy environment that's great for celebrations, that one-on-one rendezvous, or just getting together with some friends. The 108 has quickly become a downtown favorite with happy hour from 4 to 6 every day. Grab your favorite people and come say hi. The 108 Lounge, downtown Wenatchee.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I was talking with a liberal the other day who was bemoaning the foils of Donald Trump. Now, suddenly, though, she said, is this how you conservatives felt about Barack Obama? Well, duh. It is amazing to me that people of opposing political views can't begin to accept that there are political views diametrically opposed to theirs that in the perception of others have great merits, or at least some merit. Of course, though, Trump is an idiot. Well, actually, he's not. And therefore, it's okay to hate him. And Obama did ruin this country. Oh, no, actually, he didn't. So it's okay to hate him. This is how people think. Now, sorry, folks. Just because someone doesn't agree with you politically doesn't make them wrong. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
AC Checker has new owners who put customer service first. When you have to get there on time, call fast, friendly, reliable AC Checker, 663-TAXI. AC Checker has the industry's only on-time or it's free guarantee. Conditions apply. Call AC Checker, 663-TAXI to schedule your cab or schedule online at acchecker.com. Call American Classic Taxi, 663-TAXI. That's 663-8294.
Boating in the Wenatchee Valley starts at Bob File Boats and Motors. See their full line of Crown Line boats. Crown Line features the Forte gel coat, which perfectly accentuates the sporty silhouette of this boat. Its contours are further enhanced by Crown Line's patented fast tab hull design, which not only embraces the distinctive sports car styling, but also ensures a safe and comfortable ride. See Crown Line boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
Bob File Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bob File's gonna make you smile.
Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
And we are back on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Once a month, our friends from the North Central Educational Services District drops by this program to say hi and fill us in on the great work that the NCESD does. Dr. Michelle Price, of course, is the superintendent of the North Central Educational Services District. No stranger to this program. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for letting me stop by.
Anytime. You have an open invitation.
Oh,
you
good,
know
good.
that.
I don't like to get up this early every day.
Well, truth be told, we're taping this, so
Right.
because Michelle's a busy woman. First things first, coming up on the January 21st, Tuesday, you're going to have an open house because you got, well, your old digs or new digs.
Our old digs are new digs, yes. Yeah. So the Educational Service District, as you know, we serve 29 school districts across Grant, Chelan, Douglas, and Okanagan counties. And our building really wasn't built for our needs. It was an office building.
It was an office, the old executive flight office building or something.
Yeah, for PA&E. Right. And the 4th floor was an apartment, which was absolutely beautiful. We called it the retreat center, but it really didn't suit our purposes. So we do staff training, and we have business office services where we have folks that need to be, doing business services. So we did a renovation with 3 goals. The first was to be able to use our space more efficiently for our staff and for our purposes, to really make a match there. Second was to bring all of our staff together under one roof. And
I did not know that. I always thought you guys were all under the same roof of that iconic building out in Old Station, but that wasn't the case.
No, that's not been the case. For about the last 6 years, we have, maybe 7 years, we've had staff that we were renting space at the Cordell Nair building to have housed there. So we've been able to bring them back in, which also then has reduced our cost and our need for rental space, both for office space as well as training space. We'll be able to do all of our training in-house now. Most of it. We'll still use the convention center for a couple really big summer things.
But your campus is beautiful. It's right down on the river there for those lunch break folks. They can just go out and head around to the park and just get, it's a beautiful building. It just wasn't practical for
It is. It wasn't practical for our purposes. And our staff deploys out to those 29 school districts. So while we're home base for many of them, where they might have a couple days a month where they need to stop by and have some office space, they really are out working in the school districts. And so that was really as we looked at this, how can we create workspace for them and yet not be, having such inefficient use of the building.
We've talked about this before. This particular North Central Educational Services District, geographically speaking, is the biggest in the state, right? As far as your actual footprint.
I think the Spokane area is just a little bit bigger in square miles, but we're about 1,200 square miles from Warden to Orville.
So is Wenatchee the perfect location for your headquarters because of its location?
It definitely is more central for our services, and we can hire a lot of our staff out of the East Wenatchee area, and they can travel up to those different locations and come back home here.
Speaking of traveling, last time I talked to you, you still had a vacancy on the board. Has that been filled yet?
We have filled our vacancy on the board. I'm happy to say that we had a couple of candidates that our board interviewed in December, and they did an appointment of a gentleman out of Leavenworth by the name of Mike Musick. And Mike is actually new to the region. He's retired there and has come to live closer to family. And so we're excited to be bringing him on for his first official meeting coming up here on the 22nd of January.
It's good to have new blood, somebody with a new perspective, somebody who isn't so entrenched in the North Central Washington area to give things a slightly different angle.
Yeah, bring some new ideas, definitely be able to, a new lens on things always helps. Yeah.
Again, we're talking to Dr. Michelle Price, the Executive Director of the North Central Educational Services District. the state legislature, of course, a couple of years ago, at the behest of the Washington State Supreme Court, has changed the way many school districts, if not all of them, are funding their basic maintenance or operations and things like that outside of what's already being funded by the state, and then the individual districts are kind of up to themselves to get the extra dough. There's some levies coming up. There's a new way that things are being done now. Fill in the blanks.
You bet there are. So first I want to remind everybody that as election time comes up, your ballots will be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Those levy ballots are a replacement tax. And so you are voting on replacing a tax you're currently paying that's expiring. And so I think that's really important for all of us to remember. Each of your communities, and I'm speaking broadly for many districts, but they are asking voters to support the things that they've learned to value and have expectations in their local communities that they support. The new rules do require that anything that's currently in the prototypical school model that levy dollars cannot be used for, which means anything above and beyond what's allowed in that prototypical model can be used for levy dollars. And I have a perfect example. So school psychologists, so special education ends up being an area where the state dollars do not fit the needs at all. The prototypical model has 1 per 45,000 students in the prototypical model.
That's a terrible ratio.
Right?
I'm no brilliant guy, but that right there is
exactly. And so
right.
that model just is so outdated and does not have anything near the needs. School nurses, all sorts of other positions that the model just does not support. And so then local school districts can go through a process with OSPI to get approval to say what we're putting on our levy is above and beyond what the state is funding. So it's the gap from what the state funds as basic ed and what the needs really are. And then they can fund those types of things with those dollars. It includes transportation, special education, highly capable, all of our student athletic things are things our kids really value and our communities value.
Is it generally speaking, is it now harder than it was before to get these levies?
I think there's some misconceptions because the state did put a new infusion into public education, and they did improve many things. And so they sent out a message that says, now we fully fund basic education in the state of Washington and levies are just extra. Well, as my example just showed, that's not true. Yeah. But they did make some great progress. But those levies are still very much needed in your local communities to support things that you value there.
But the decision making as far as what we're going to do and how much we're going to do still is resting within the individual school districts, be it Wenatchee or Cashmere or Brewster, things like that. They still get to...
yes and no. They get to decide what they value and what things that they want to have those levy dollars go to, as long as they're approved by the state. They are limited to how much they can collect. And it's just been changed to $2.50 per thousand or $2,500 per student, whichever is less. And so there are limits to what a local community can raise in their dollars. And that's made it really hard because it continues to be severely inequitable. You can have two school districts very similar in size who can collect as much as $1,000 per student less than the other. Even if they're neighboring districts, which we have here in our region. Yeah. And that's a significant difference as to what you're allowed to do with kids. So in our area, we've got Cashmere, Lake Chelan, Entiat, Waterville, and Orondo that are all going to be running their local levies.
Can you give us just a brief thumbnail sketch on what each school district is asking for? Or did I just put you on the spot?
You just put me on the spot. In general, I can tell you they're all trying to, they all have to stay under the $2.50. Right. They set a dollar amount that fits their needs, and then the estimate of the per dollar amount per thousand is really an estimate because they don't know where the assessed valuations are going to land. I think I heard yesterday Grant County just got theirs out yesterday. Well, all the flyers and all the information about their levies is already produced, and so it's always an estimate, but it cannot exceed that $2.50. I've not seen anybody in our region that's going close to that $2.50. I think I saw $2.11 with one of the districts. Really trying to be honorable of our taxpayers and yet realistic of what the needs are.
And that's a fine line to cross, and it's you have to just the straight and narrow there is very difficult. And one of the things that voter apathy always seems to creep up when it comes to these school bonds and MO levies or whatever it is that you want to call it, because there are an inordinate amount of people who say, well, I don't care, I don't have a kid in the system anymore.
Right.
I paid my dues. My 3 kids went through the school district, they're off and doing their thing. Why should I care? And there's a very simple answer for that.
I think it's to remember we pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know, our kids today are the future of our community. So one day when we are no longer working and our kids are raised, which I'm in that case now, you know, I'm looking at now saying my grandchildren are going to be in those school systems. But also somebody paid for me. You know, and that may have been 40 years ago, but there were people in the community who were education is a community value. It's not about my child, it's about our children. And I think that's really important as we look at, you know, good communities have good schools and have good support for their schools. And that continues to help your community grow. It continues to bring people there because they want to be part of the things that are going well there.
And when young professionals come to the Valley, and they come all the time on a weekly basis, this is going to be my new home, I'm going to plant roots down here. Johnny Jump Up and Sally are going to go to the schools. They look at these things. They look at the schools. They look at the physical condition of the schools. They look at the reputations that school districts and individual schools and teachers have when they make that decision, whether they want to move to North Central Washington or not. That's a huge part of that process, isn't it?
It's a huge part of it. The calls that we get are about, tell us about the schools. You know, why is this different for this school than this school? Each school district, you know, I hear great things about this one, and this one seems to be having some issues. And it's like, so I think schools definitely draw people to your community and keep people there.
And there's nothing like a nice, well-kept, good school with professional teachers in the walls, paying it forward and making it happen, because the kids know this, don't they?
That's right. Our kids are our future. No, and they are our future.
Yeah.
So what we're building is sustainability for our communities into the future.
One more item with Dr. Michelle Price, the superintendent of the North Central Educational School District. January is School Board Appreciation Month.
School Board Appreciation Month.
They could use a little love, couldn't they?
They could. They could use a little love. Let's talk about a group of people in each one of our school districts who volunteer hundreds of hours in support of that educational community, and really they're there out of the goodness of their heart and because they have a passion for children in their community, and they get very little gratitude. So if you have a few minutes, send a school board member a note, you know, drop off a card, give them a call. If you see them in the grocery store, make sure to say thank you.
They do a lot of work.
They do a lot of work on behalf of all of us and our children.
Yeah, and if you don't believe me, here's something that I would highly recommend. Go to any of the school district's websites, because before they have a school district meeting, a school board meeting, the packet is there, and you can download the packet. It's a PDF thing, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of information that needs to be absorbed and correlated in your mind, and you have to be. It's a lot of work.
Policy and program decisions and
Yeah.
budget decisions, and you bet. And it's a lot of work on their part. And so we're just very thankful for our school board members.
Getting back to where we started for this this deal on Tuesday the 21st, is that open house? People can show up and just check out. You get tours. How does that work for the new building?
It is. So it is going to be a self-guided tour from 4 to 7 p.m. We do have a dedication of part of our building going on at 5 p.m. Speaking of board members, we had a long-term 25-year veteran board member on our board who really had a lot of vision and focus, leadership for our future, and so we are going to honor him there.
Oh, good.
5 o'clock.
Good. That's 5 o'clock on Tuesday, January 21st, at their deal out there in Old Station. Their new and improved building. Anything else, Dr. Price, while I have you here?
Well, I'd also like to say that now that we have improved training space, meeting space in this community is very hard to find. And so we do have a rental process available for folks that are looking for meeting space. We don't host parties, but definitely meeting space. So, yep, check in with us if you need meeting space.
I'm looking forward to seeing the new building. Well, the new old building,
I guess. The new old building, yes.
Was it during the remodel and everything? Was it a little hard to? We've been through remodels here at the television station. It can be somewhat disruptive to the daily flow of work. But your staff did okay through all that?
Yes. So we have 110 staff members, and we went from having space available on 3 floors and a rental building to just 2 floors and no rental building. Yeah. So we did over the course of the summer. That helped because all of our teaching and learning staff have typical teacher schedule, so they weren't in the office in the end of June, July, and early August. So they did have a little bit of time out of the office for at least half of our staff. But we did some work from home work during the summer months and during the construction, where we had check-ins, and we had 7 people in one little conference room, all at a table
Stacked
together,
up like
stacked
cordwood,
up.
yeah.
We had this process of everything urgent that you need with you, keep with you, and files that went into storage, and so it's nice to be back spreading out, and yet it really helped us to go through and say, okay, what are those things we absolutely need to have, and what are those things we keep just because we've always kept it.
I guess it would be ignorant of me if I didn't ask the question, where did the money come from for the remodel?
So the remodel came from a loan.
Okay.
We did unvoted debt. We and took out a loan in order to pay for it. All of our ESDs funded by our school districts were 4% funded by the state, and so it's a fee for service to our school districts, and that's what keeps the educational service districts' doors open. So we did this with no additional cost to our districts because literally it's expenditure neutral. Our rental payments equal our current payment on this loan. So it's expenditure neutral to get us all fixed up and more user friendly.
Cool.
And 5 years down the road, when it's paid for, we will know it. Then it's money in the bank for our districts.
Dr. Michelle Price from the North Central Educational Services District. I think we didn't get a chance to visit with you folks in December, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to see all of you.
Hopefully we'll see somebody from your fine organization come February.
Yeah, we happy to send our staff in.
Anytime.
All right,
anytime.
thank you.
Dr. Michelle Price, give her a big hand. We don't have a studio audience.
Right.
It doesn't make
Thank
any
you.
sense. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ricardo, and this is Amanda, and we are from Impact Auto Sales,
where you can expect a hassle-free car buying experience. With our wide selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs, let one of our friendly sales staff help you find the vehicle that fits your lifestyle. We have financing available for all credit types and great low rates for first-time buyers. Call us today at 888-8000 or stop by 3522 State Highway 97A in Wenatchee. Impact Auto Sales, where we strive to make an impact on your life and not your wallet.
They may not be from you, but they're a part of your family. For many reasons, not all children are being raised by their parents. Are you a family member who has stepped in to help raise grandchildren, nieces, or nephews? Whether court-ordered or not, Aging and Adult Care may be able to assist you with many needs. Kinship Care helps keep family and community ties together. Learn more about Kinship Care by contacting Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington, working together for a better quality of life for all. It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
And a couple minutes left on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's take a look at your very mild weather forecast. We'll start out with the outlook this week. And as you can see down here in the Wenatchee Valley, a little bit of snow perhaps Tuesday morning into maybe about 9 or 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning. Then outside of that, whatever precipitation we get for the rest of the week is going to be rain, and it's going to be very mild with some temperatures in the valley. We could get up to mid-40s on Friday. I kid you not. So get ready for some big-time snow melt. But as you can see, the mountains are going to get some light to moderate snow. How much snow we're expecting Tuesday and Tuesday night? Not a lot. Maybe an inch, maybe a couple, but it looks like more like an inch, maybe even just a half an inch of rain. And again, the timetable for that would be about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning until about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then anything after that is going to switch over to rain, except still some residual snow in the upper elevation. So from the National Weather Service, here we go. Nothing really today. Very quiet day. Nothing really happening. Just lots of clouds. 36 for the overnight lows. I mentioned before, a little bit of light snow expected here in the Wenatchee Valley from about 4 o'clock tomorrow morning till about 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then it switches over to rain in the afternoon. The snow level goes up. And again, very mild. Whatever snow we're going to get, going to be melting away. Then here comes the snow melt. Cloudy and rainy, high near 40 on Wednesday, lower 40s Thursday, mid 40s Friday, mid 40s Saturday, mid 40s Sunday. No sunshine, but rain and clouds and very mild temperatures. The mountain passes, you're good to go. No advisories or restrictions on I-90 nor on Blewett. They're pretty much bare and wet. Traction tires are advised on Stevens Pass, but I just took a look at the pass camera. It looks pretty good at the summit of Stevens Pass. Enjoy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We'll be back at it again on Tuesday. Till then, take care and bye-bye.